Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another watch list. Basically, think of this as a monthly TV guide for me to let you know what and when the TV shows that I'm interested in, that maybe you're interested in, are coming out. Like always, in the description down below, I'll include links to any trailers that might be available to anything that I bring up during this watch list. Something of note that should be considered too is when this video actually goes up, this will in fact be the last upload of 2021 on this channel. I should note I am recording this quite a bit in advance. It's Monday at the time of me recording this, so just kind of putting that in perspective. But it is kind of neat to know, like, oh, this is going to be the last upload. I don't know, it kind of puts a little bit of a stamp at the end of the year. So it's New Year's Eve at the time of this going up, not necessarily when you're watching it, but when it goes up. So but putting all that aside and getting to the watch list itself. First up, on January 2nd, we have the return of the Equalizer on CBS, which I'm excited to see where things go. It's going to be interesting. Well, storyline-wise, the last place we left off, Harry got busted by the feds. They ended up tracking him because of everything he did to help Bishop last episode. So Robin helping Mel find a way to help out Harry under these circumstances. We'll see how it all plays out. Speaking of Bishop, without really getting into it too much here, it is going to be interesting to see what happens there. If you're unaware, there's the whole allegations against Chris Noth, which they are allegations, but they are stacking up. So how they're going to respond to this, I'm not sure. I don't know if that's played any role in the extended break the Equalizer's taken. That's probably unrelated, or maybe eventually became related. Whatever the case may be, just figured I should also include it because it is something to think about with some of the recent news developments. So on January 3rd on NBC, we have the return of Ordinary Joe, which I'm very excited about. If you've not seen Ordinary Joe, I think you really should, because I think it's a really nice, heartfelt show. But where we left off across the different realities, I don't remember 100% where we were with the nursing reality, but the detective reality, like Joe's taking a step back. His sister kind of brought up some stuff about his dad not being the great person that him and his mom kind of pretend him to be, but also the fact is they didn't really deal with stuff. But the last time we saw that Joe, he ran headfirst into a burning building to save some lives because he's going back to being a beat cop. Musician wise, everything between him and Amy is complicated because obviously he knows about the affair and trying to decide whether or not he wants to work on the relationship or end things here, especially when Amy finds out in actuality she's pregnant and it's most likely Bobby's baby. So complications out the wazoo. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see where the next episode takes us with that. Also on January 3rd on Fox, we have The Cleaning Lady, a new crime drama. Basically, it's about a woman who's a cleaning lady. She's, I believe, an immigrant. She's a single mother trying to take care of her child, but she gets wrapped up in, I believe, a cartel. Basically, she serves as a cleaning lady to help them deal with and clean up stuff, and she gets wrapped up in all of this and trying to find a way to navigate through it. The show definitely has like very like Ozark feel and vibe to it to an extent, which I watched a trailer for this a while back because I think this was one of those shows impacted, so it kept getting pushed back and pushed back. It's actually based on an Argentinian show from a couple years ago, but I'm sure they're probably going to do kind of like how, you know, there's the two Being Humans. If you're unaware, Being Human was originally a UK series and then like a North American adaptation was made. There's similarities, but at the same time, those stories play out way differently. So maybe we'll get something of that type of situation happening in this regard. But I mean, it seems like an interesting show from what I remember seeing of the trailer. So I'm excited to finally be able to see it. On January 6th on NBC, we have the return of the Blacklist. A lot of exciting things where we left off previously. There's everything with Harold dealing with him potentially being a murder suspect. Then there's a whole thing with Reddington being pissed at Dembe because he now realizes, like, wait, Liz knew the truth. Only way she could have known that is if Dembe gave her that letter, and that led to her hesitating when the time came, and she died because of it. So sorting out all of that is definitely going to be interesting, and just along with everything else that Reddington's got on his plate, the task force has got on their plates as we move forward. On January 7th on the CW, we have Nancy Drew returning, which I'm very excited. Last place we left off, obviously, like some relationship stuff, in particular stuff with George and Nick. There's the whole Ace and Nancy thing, which has a complication because Ace is trapped in a kind of limbo world with Hannah right now. And obviously, like last episode, they discovered a little bit more about the Frozen Hearts killer, or rather like the monster and its connection to all of this. Some truths were kind of revealed last episode. So where all that takes us going forward is going to be very, very interesting. I should also note, I did see somewhere, I think I brought this up during my reviews, that says there's only 13 episodes this season, which I hope not, because if so, this is episode 10. That means we've only got 3 episodes left. But it might be a full, like, no, we've got, well, after episode 10, but it might be a full 18, and maybe that place I was reading only stopped at 13. I don't know, because currently IMDb only goes as far as episode 11, so usually that's my indicator of like how long a season might be, but still. On January 11th on the CW, we have season 2 of Superman and Lois. I'm so excited. Probably the thing I'm looking forward to the most this month. I'm excited just to pick up where things left off. Obviously, at the end of season 1, we had Natalie crashing on this Earth. And obviously, like, the complications that's going to bring for the Kent family in many different ways. Obviously, John's reunited with his daughter, but that, once again, is going to come with its own complications considering his ties to the Kent family. But also, you know, what's next for Smallville? What's next for Clark in the aftermath of everything? Because based on what we saw in the trailer, there definitely seem to be some after effects, potentially from the whole Zod, like, consciousness being downloaded, so there might still be some after effects of that. Also, like, his relationship with, like, the U.S. government, in particular, like the military, how they respond to him, how they feel about him currently. I think a lot of that's going to be rearing its head this season, so I'm excited to see where all of that ends up taking us. Also on January 11th, also in the CW, we have a new DC series, Naomi. Now, this is a series I know nothing about. We've gotten little trailers here and there, but it still doesn't give us a great scope of everything. Essentially, something happens to Naomi and she unlocks abilities. Now, to the full scope of what they are, it's unclear, but essentially it's this mystery show of her finding out that she's not the only person with powers. There are other people too. Now, whether this is like a full-blown meta-human thing or is this something else entirely, I don't know. Like I said, we've only gotten little peeks here and there into the show, but I'm excited. From what I've heard, this is a relatively new character in the comic books, so, like, which is pretty dope for her to be getting her own show at this point in time, because other characters, you know, that we've gotten so far have at least some extended history in the comics, so that's pretty dope. I'm excited to really kind of get a really good understanding and taste of what the show's all about when it airs. On January 12th on the CW, we have Legends of Tomorrow returning, which I'm very excited about. Last time we left off, we found out that the Legends are obviously being hunted by Evil Gideon, and Evil Gideon has created basically robot versions of the Legends to hunt them. They're got better control of their time traveling right now. Where they'll end up next, whether it's present day or not, who knows. They're still without a Wave Rider, but they do have some form of a time machine, so where they land next, I don't know, and I kind of don't want to know until the show actually returns and airs, but I'm excited to see what happens next. Also on January 12th, also in the CW, we have Batwoman returning, which I'm very excited about. Last place we left off, things were complicated with the Bat team because Mary's gone off and gone full-blown Poison Ivy. She's become the new Poison Ivy, in fact. While we've also got Ryan's brother Marcus, who's going off and basically positioning himself to be the new Joker as he's taken over Wayne Enterprises and the complications that comes with that. Plus, you know, how will the Bat team save Mary when she doesn't want to be saved? Which, let's not forget, Mary's off kicking it with Alice too, and she's not the greatest role model, but we'll see how those dynamics play out as it seems like our villains are all going to be uniting, and what that means with the whole Renee situation and all these Batman trophies, because I think Ivy's the last Batman trophy thing they've got to go after, I believe. On January 13th on HBO Max, we have the new series Peacemaker, which I'm very, very excited for. We're picking up in the aftermath of the Suicide Squad. We're finding out that, hey, Peacemaker's alive and now he's being sent on missions. Now, what the grand scale of that means, I don't know, but from what we see, just shenanigans ensues. He's not the greatest guy. We obviously learn, like, how far he's willing to go because of the Suicide Squad, and now we get a continuation of that story of him just kind of being a douchebag, him with some of the people who are forced to work with him. The back and forth between him and Vigilante is definitely going to be interesting. I'm just very excited to see it in totality what the show has in store for us as we learn more about Peacemaker's past, but also see him progress and grow and see the progression that he kind of went through in the Suicide Squad while also kind of taking a step back in certain regards, and how much of an effect the events of Suicide Squad has it on him in this show and going forward. On December 14th on Showtime, we have the Donovan the movie, which normally I don't do movies too much. I usually do TV, but this is a different example. Obviously, if you're unaware, Ray Donovan got canceled at after season 7, but it seems like this movie is supposed to be a, you know, proper like epilogue to the show. I talked about it before. I definitely remember bits and pieces about where we left off in season 7, but I definitely need to rewatch it in preparation. But it's definitely a big time like Ray versus Mickey situation. We're also diving into a younger Mickey, kind of understanding a little bit more of how he grew up to be who he is and became, well, the man that he became, and eventually the father he became, and what kind of effect that had on his children, in particular Ray, because him and Ray are like two sides of the same coin, and coming to terms with that because Ray's threatened to kill his dad multiple times, and the question is, will he finally do it this time? And if he does it, like, what kind of effect that's going to have. It's just going to be interesting to see this conclusion to the show. I'm happy to know the show is getting a conclusion in general, because just the way season 7 ended, you're like, you just need a little bit more to wrap up this entire story. So I'm excited to see what happens. On January 17th on the CW, we have the return of the 4400. I'm excited to see where things take us going from here, because where we left off, the world kind of got exposed to their powers. You will see what the aftermath of that's actually going to be, but obviously this gives the government the right to knock in those conservatorships, which a lot of the 4400 signed, including Andre and Shanice, trying to like help him with that. You know, it's like, right, let's forget about that and worry about that because that's tomorrow's problems. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see what the aftermath of all that's going to be, how the public in general is going to receive that news, especially considering how some people already feel about the 4400. So on January 21st on Netflix, we have Ozark's 4th and final season, part 1. Yeah, because this season is going to be longer. If I remember correctly, it's 16 episodes, so I'm assuming part 1 is going to be 8 episodes and part 2 is going to be the same. But I'm excited to see where things take us. At the time of me recording this, there is no actual full-blown trailer. There are like 2 trailers out. One is basically a small trailer first look that's like, yo, this is us picking up almost immediately after season 3's finale and the situation that Marty and Wendy found themselves in. But there's another trailer that's very, you know, doesn't give you insight to the season, but more so foreshadowing that, hey, things might not end well for the Bird family. But obviously it's like, right, Navarro and his special, like, well, he chose Marty and Wendy, and what that means kind of being his favorite people now. Obviously they're unaware of all that's going down back in the Ozark because of some truths that Helen dropped before she died to Jonah, plus Ruth is off with Dolores, and like what that ends up turning into, we'll just have to wait and see. On January 24th on TNT, we have the season 3 premiere of Snowpiercer. Very, very excited. Obviously, in the aftermath of season 2, where Andre and the others are stuck on Big Alice trying to get back to Snowpiercer, where Wilfred has free reign and everyone's kind of stuck under his tyranny once again. And so the power structure and dynamics changing as they're trying to make their way back to Snowpiercer to rescue it from Wilfred's control. But we also learned that based on what Melanie brought up about, you know, her the satellites and stuff showing that there are warmer spots, that the earth is getting warmer, we do discover in the trailer that there's a new place, New Eden, that's actually a livable place where other survivors are. So finding out about that, dealing with the whole Snowpiercer situation and Wilfred, there's a lot going in this season, and I'm excited to see where it all ends up taking us. Also on January 24th on ABC, we have a new series called Promised Land. Essentially, we're dealing with a family that's basically running a wine I guess it's kind of like a legacy in their family, like running this wine company, and just kind of the dark twists and secrets that are involved, and the complications of it all. Like, you know, I think, you know, family comes with its own issues, and I think this is going to be one of those shows that kind of highlights the complications of family and money and business, and how it brings out kind of like the darker elements and so on in a lot of people. So just from what we've seen online, there's like a 30-second trailer out, nothing too long, but kind of giving you a little taste of what the show's about. But from what I've seen of it, it seems really interesting, so I'm excited to check it out. On January 26th on Sci-Fi, we have season 2 of Resident Alien premiering. I'm so excited. If you have not seen season 1 of Resident Alien, you need to change that. The show is so damn good. It's so funny. It's so awesome. I'm excited excited to see where season 2 takes us. We made some revelations about Sam's murder and who's actually behind it. Obviously, Harry was trying to leave, but find out Max is on his ship, so the whole goodbye, he had it in. Well, it doesn't matter because he's got to come back, and, you know, shenanigans are going to ensue, especially considering, like, right, the military is aware of him and they're trying to track him down, so coming back to Earth is not the safest place, but also he's kind of abandoned his whole mission of trying to kill everyone on Earth, so that's definitely going to be interesting to see where season 2 takes us. I didn't bother looking, and I probably won't at this point in time, whether or not there's actually a trailer out. I didn't see anything pop up, but that might be like later this month or something. Well, the later of January when something actually pops up, like official trailer-wise. But I'm excited to see where season 2 takes us with everything. And finally, on January 28th on Netflix, we have a new series, The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window. Yes, I had to hold up my phone because I was never going to remember that title because it's a ridiculously long title, and people give Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn a lot of guff, but come on. Regardless, at the time of me recording this, or at least from what I've seen so far, there's only a teaser trailer out for it, but it seems really interesting. Kristen Bell is playing this lady who's on some medications, and basically she witnesses some stuff across the street, but it's like, oh, you're crazy, like you've been drinking and mixing your pills and stuff, so you might not be in your right mind. It's a little bit of like, I guess kind of like a little bit of like Rear Window meets, was it Disturbia, the Shia LaBeouf movie? So yeah, like it seems kind of like, oh, some stuff is going across the street, but no one believes you type of thing. So it seems like an interesting premise, once again, just based on the trailer, the teaser trailer. So I'm excited to see what the show's all about. And that brings this month's watch list to an end. Like always, if there's something that's coming out that maybe I wasn't aware of, that maybe you're aware of, and you think maybe me or someone else would be interested in, don't be afraid to leave it in the comments down below. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.